Hi, guys. How's it, man? What a way to start out this year's Rugby Championship. 43-12, the final from Loftus. Let's go ahead and go through the news and notes, and we'll kind of talk about how we felt about the game at the end of this one, man. We got to start off not on a good boot, man. Corabetti gets a tryout left early 7th minute in for the Wallabies. They go up by a score of 5-0 after Reese Hodge, who had a horrible kicking day, misses the conversion. Man, 7 minutes later, Libok goes for 3 after a Wallabies offside penalty. He does nail it. Great kicking on the day for Manny Libok, the new starting fly half this weekend. Several minutes later, 2-3 minutes later down the road, Kirtley, after 7 phases, he gets started off by a deep run by Kanan Moody. Kirtley gets the first of what would become 3 tries on the day. Man of the match, from what I'm seeing right here. Could not disagree. Libok does make the conversion. We go up 10-5, 15 minutes into this thing. 9 minutes later, penalty on Moody for not releasing, and Hodge misses the penalty kick. He's 0 of 2 so far on the day. 5 minutes later, after a scrum for the Springboks, which we dominated all game, Kirtley gets the 2nd of 3 on the day. At the 29th minute, Libok does convert 3 of 3 so far on kicking on the day, goes up 17-5. And it's at this point that I realize the Wallabies are in for a long afternoon, a long evening. 43rd minute after the siren goes off, Hodge, they do get a penalty. The Wallabies, Springbok get a penalty. The Wallabies do elect to kick. He's from like way out, doesn't even come close. So we go into halftime at 17-5. Second half gets started very, very kind of boring that first 10 minutes. You're seeing issues left and right, quite a few issues there. 50th minute, Curley gets his 3rd on the day from the left side from Lucanio kind of keeping quiet for most of the game, being there when he needs to be, but for the most part, letting these young guys kind of do their thing, and that's, you tip your hat to a guy like that. Libok does convert, or does miss the conversion. He's 3 of 4 so far. I think he ends up going 4 of 6 on the day for kicking. 53rd minute, Snyman, the Viking, enters the game. I'm so absolutely excited. We get a possible try, his first line out back in the green gold, and it's held up, and it ends up being a penalty try because Parecki brings down the maul. They go to the TMO. Ben O'Keefe, absolutely great day. Did miss a few high tackles. We'll get into that possibly later. 55th minute, Manny Libok, after a contested buck lineup, bad handling by the Wallabies. Libok does trot in. It would have been his first career try, but there was a knock-on by Peter Stuff the Toy, unfortunately, so they call that one back at the 55th minute. 66th minute, Peter Stuff is trying to get a try in this game. You could see every time he got the ball, Esterhuizen, every time they got the ball, they wanted tries. It is held up after 6 phases underneath the crossbar, so the score remains the same, 29-5. 68th minute in, a couple phases going out left. I mean, Kirtley's in perfect position for that 4th try, and Vunivalu intentionally knocks it on, so it is a penalty try and a yellow card to Vunivalu, their 2nd of the day for the Wallabies. And, man, 36-5. We're just pouring it on at this point. 74th minute in, Peter Stuff finally gets his try that he'd been trying multiple phases after a line out. Libok does make the conversion, and it is 43-5. And then at the 80th minute, Carter Gordon on debut gets a kind of a null try for them. They do convert, and the final score is 43-12. So let's go ahead and talk about the things I brought up in the pregame video. Guys that I wanted to see have good games. Esterhuizen, great game. John Klein, you earned your stripes today, bro. You deserve to be in the green and gold. You went out there and you played your butt off. And I tip my hat to you. You had a great game. Kanan Moody, a little bit of handling issues. You saw a few times when these young guys would get runs and they'd be looking over their shoulders. I think that's the difference between a new player and a seasoned player. Lucanio doesn't have to look over his shoulder. He knows where everyone's at. when somebody like Willie LaRue, Damian Valemsa gets the ball and makes a deep run, they don't look over their shoulders because they know somebody's going to be there. If somebody's meant to be there, they're going to be there. You saw that a lot with Kirtley. You saw that a lot with Kanan Moody, just handling issues. And like I said, having space, but not – Libok did the same thing. Having space, but getting down and then kind of looking over. And it's like that comes with time. That comes with repetition. That comes with trainings with your players. You know where these guys are going to be when certain situations occur. Just a great game, like I said, from Kirtley, obviously getting man of the match for this game with the 3 tries. I cannot disagree. But the guys that I wanted to see have good games. Esterhuizen had a great game. We've got currently Esterhuizen and Libok. Libok, great game. Absolutely great kicking. Very, very sound, very, very crisp, very, very good. He did have a few kicking issues, not for tries or for penalty conversions or anything or for conversions or penalties, just hand kicked, just issues there. These are things that I think will come with time. He will get better and better at them, and I'm not at all worried about Manny Libok. I would still rather have Andre, honestly, just because of his experience and his defensive ability, and he doesn't look over his shoulder. But the same respects, great game. Yeah, Esterhuizen, 56 meters with the ball. He was just really good. Everybody who needed to have the guys that, like I said, Lukanyo, you never really saw him until he needed to be there. And I think he let these younger guys who needed to prove themselves, he let those guys get out there and earn their wings today. Disappointment, Marvin Ory, almost a non-factor for the game. John Klein, I think, was just doing whatever he could to prove that he belonged here in that jersey, and he earned it, in my opinion. I still would rather have Eben and Lude start and have him and RG come off the bench, or RG needs to be an off-the-bench guy just because of his injury issues in the last 4 years. But for games that we don't want to play Eben or Lude, have John Klein. He can do it. He carried his weight for 80 minutes today. He earned his weight. Esterhuizen earned his time. The little bit that we did get to see our run-ons for the our bomb squad in the front row, Dweba had a great game, but at that point you just realized how bad the Wallabies scrum is. And if the Wallabies were in panic mode when they fired Dave Rennie and brought in Eddie Jones, I think it's all hands on deck now. The Wallabies are in trouble. They are bad. Quade Cooper was a non-factor in the game, shoved Kirtley at one point, typical Quade Cooper activity. Reese Hodge was horrible under the ball, boot, everything. They are in trouble. Their massive wings, we had undersized young guys compared to their wings, and our wings made them look like non-factors. Dion Forty came in late. Great game from the veteran with minimal caps. But we played well. The guys that I felt, with the exception of Marvin Ory, I felt like played well today. Franz Maharba played well. Marco van Staden played well. Dwayne Vermeulen was an amazing captain through the whole game. He played the full 80 minutes, it looked like. We played well. We won where we needed to win. And our scrums were dominant. We had handling issues, young guys. It's going to happen. But my worries about this team were somewhat put to rest. But not all the way, because Australia, you guys are in trouble. The Wallabies are bad. Nick White is horrific. Quade Cooper looked like a non-factor. He looked like he didn't even exist. Hodge was bad. Your front row was bad. Your flankers, I feel bad for Michael Hooper. You have one of the best flankers in the world, and he was a non-factor. The rookie making the start, Tom Hooper, on debut, was out of the game within 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes. Hopefully it's nothing serious for him on debut. But they were bad. Yeah. And this was our B side. This was our Eben-less, Andre Pollard-less, Cheslin Colby-less team. We went out and dominated. Lucanio was a walk in the park for him today. Like I said, he was there when he needed to be there, but we didn't really even necessarily need them at times, it looked like. So with that being said, obviously the bonus point plus the victory, I just don't see anybody that can stop us, at least in this brief tournament that we have here. Does this mean that we carry that momentum going into the World Cup? I'd certainly hope so. But this was a hell of a first game to start out with. We beat the brakes off of these guys properly. This was how we needed to win this game. I only gave us a 21-15 victory because I wanted to keep things modest. I wanted to keep things fair. We beat the brakes off of these guys today. It was never even close. The closest they got was the 5-0 lead they had 7 minutes into the game. The rest of the game, honestly, when we got to the second half, we were just playing with these guys, running little trick plays, seeing what we could get away with, setting up things, checking lines, all that kind of stuff. It was like the Wallabies were never even there after 10 minutes of this game. So with that being said, obviously a Springbok victory is never a bad thing. We do have a week off. The next game is not going to be a walk in the park. The game after that is not going to be a walk in the park. But if I'm a Wallabies fan, I would be worried greatly about what's going on with your team right now, because this is not good. But with that being said, let's enjoy this victory, guys. If you're with your family, go have a beer. I might even crack open a non-alcoholic beer, as I do not consume alcohol. But what a game. What a game. Cheers, guys.